So I have him in a baseball cap, and that did make some of the cutscenes pretty hysterical, including the one where he's meeting with like important foreign dignitaries. Like you meet this Hillary Clinton looking woman in a pantsuit. Noctis rolls in with his dirty t-shirt and a baseball cap. He's like, yo, the frat said to come here and talk to you, old lady. We need to go this way. Yeah. Yeah. That's the wrong way, Noctis. I did a test play, but it was a couple days ago now, so I'm still getting reacclimated to the controls. The other thing that really helped is Noctis does not conserve any momentum. He has one maximum jump distance, and it doesn't matter how fast he's moving. So you can position yourself wherever you need to on these platforms to make your jump, and then make it. You do have to be facing the right way, though. Did my music stop? My music stopped. Oh, it ended. It's the next song now. Now we're into Final Fantasy XI. Saruda Baruda. A song I have spent 30 hours listening to, probably. I did play Final Fantasy XI for... It was back when the game was new in America, which means it was the first like major expansion to the game in Japan. Rise of the Xylart. That's when I played the game. And I don't know, 6 months or so I put into it. But I stopped playing it. You can never really beat an MMO, can you? You can always just stop playing it at some point. So I reached this room and I'm like, oh god. There's like 5 doors to this room. There are 5 doors to this room, and indeed, hitting this light switch opens up one door. And this, I think, is when I realized I'm going to be in the Pitioss ruins until, like, for a long time. We're going to be here a minute. I had no idea how deep this rabbit hole went. I should have landed on that. I feel like I got robbed out of that jump. I think whenever you respawn, it mutes your music for a little while for some reason. Alright, so this is a fun little jaunt here with the spikies everywhere. Oh, that's fine. You can this is a nice forgiving respawn location. Usually the first trick in a new area, I just did the same thing. The first trick in a new area is really forgiving because the respawn is very, very close. There we go. That's what we want. Ooh, those spikes are right there, though. Kissing my back. And this is another one of those rooms where you see, like, every platform is both an obstacle and, like, a platform. This is... what happened there? Maybe? A little bit? A little bit of what happened? Whatever, we got an earth gemstone. That's pretty cool. See, there's lots of obstacles in this room, but there's also just... every obstacle is a platform from another perspective. And just the things they do in this dungeon to make use of 3D space. And give multiple uses to all of these different tricks and traps. It's so... like, I don't know. It's just so not Final Fantasy 15. It's so different from other challenges in the game. But I still felt like this challenge was fair. I still felt like this whole dungeon is really fair. And you would not expect that, because precision platforming in Final Fantasy? What? I think it really speaks to the confidence of the developers of this game that they were able to put something like this in the game. Like, they knew this is not the kind of game we're making, but we've made this engine that has movement and jumping features that will work for this kind of challenge. I didn't make it. I wonder if this is a safe spot to stand there, actually, before I make the jump to the next platform. Ooh, ooh. They're really teleport spikes. They're not death spikes. They're red-hot teleport spikes, is what they are. That jump didn't work for me. This time it will, though. Oh, nope, I hit my head. I hit my head on those spikes. We should probably just watch a few cycles. I think that's how I made it that first time, is I watched a few cycles. There we go. Now what if I stand here? I don't think there's a safe spot over there. I think we just gotta run for it and then jump for it. That's what we needed to do. And back this way. I will say that I mentioned I was more confident with my platforming abilities in this game after completing this dungeon. You might say I was overconfident in them, though, given some of the risks that I will take probably throughout this Let's Play. That's my next button. And that opens the second of 4 doors in this area. And we get some metal scrap, because you can never have too much metal scrap. More giant rotating death drums. This is Final Fantasy X. This is something from 10, isn't it? I can just check, yeah. I'm not a big fan of Final Fantasy X. I think it's a bad game, but I kind of dig the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack does some good stuff. And yes, there's a there's a built-in MP3 player that you can run around in this game and play classic Final Fantasy music. I just decided not to jump right there. I decided Noctis needed to get to the bottom of that hole. We needed to know what was down there. And the answer turns out to be blackness was down there. There was blackness in the bottom of that hole. Blackness there, and nothing more. Now I gotta jump to the giant rotating spike drums, which, again, they're traps in one sense, but platforms in another sense. Then we gotta jump to this one. These ones are actually a little easier to jump to than they look, because for one thing, they pause for a moment when they reach the end of their cycle. So they're in one spot for long enough to make the jump twice, probably. And when you jump to them and you start spinning around like that, I mean, not like that. I landed on the spike part there instead of the platform part, but in general, I mean, when Noctis starts spinning around and it looks really disorienting, it looks like it's going to mess with your jump, but it really doesn't. The jumps here are forgiving enough from these drums to these platforms that you can pretty much make them from any part of the drum and be okay. Like that. It looked like I was right on the edge of that thing and was about to fall off. We did like a Mega Man stand on that platform there. That was not good. That was not good. I misaligned that jump. We're going to call that a misalignment. I don't have time to get to the middle there. Why am I doing this? Why am I this? This is not. Oh, God. Alright, we're not going to do that again. Oh, that threw me off. I thought I was fine going over that hole, but it looked like I was going over the spikes instead. Getting spikety with it. There we go. Okay. Once more with feeling. Most of the treasures in this dungeon are just like little, just nonsense things, like for spell crafting and things that isn't super important in this game. Ah, we made it. Wait, am I supposed to hit a button up here? Or did I hit a button up here? Have I buttoned? Oh, I see. We're gonna go this way now. So now the dungeon's kind of breaking its own rules. We're not meant to find a button in that room. We're meant to go traverse that room so we can traverse the high platforms of this room. And then enter this room without opening the door. And we'll hit a button in here that will open this door and probably the next one as well. So let's not fall here. Perfect. Yeah, there's our next button. Okay. With the moving Pac-Man shaped platforms. You can't really see that one's Pac-Man shaped from entering it, but you can see what I mean now. How it's a cylindrical platform with a wedge cut out of it. just like this one. Except we have to jump earlier from this one. I think this one we have to get on top of. No, we don't have to get on top of it, but if you do get on top of it, it makes things a little easier, maybe? No, I think we do have to get on top of it. We'll get on top of it. We will. We just will. And the way we do that is you step into the wedge, and then as it reaches the top, you jump. And I'm on top. And you can kind of skip that little climby bit. Do we want to do it on this one? I guess we can. Ain't no reason not to. Whoa. It is a little disorienting how your jump button and your pick up stuff on the ground button is the same button. What that means is sometimes you'll go to make a tricky jump like I just did there and pick up the item instead and then almost walk into the pit. Or like actually walk into the pit. I mean, I've done that too, lots of times. Alright, there's my button. We have buttoned! That door went for a trip. That door went on a journey. So we're going in this room now. Oh, right. This room with the giant flying platform. This has one of the trickiest jumps in the ruins, I think. I kind of wish the old Final Fantasy songs, like Final Fantasy 1 through 6, I wish they looped an extra time on this MP3 player. Because what ends up happening is, like, from 10 onwards, or even like 9 has some long ones as well. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to wait for a minute. What ends up happening is, since the tracks are longer, you end up listening to a lot more modern Final Fantasy music than classic music. Also, this save file might not have all the soundtracks. I think I'm missing 2 of the soundtracks on this save file. This save file is at 50-something hours, and I ended up playing this game for 70-something hours, I think. There was still lots of stuff to do in the game. There were like lots of hunts and like little like treasure hunting side quests and things that you can do. But I had reached a point of diminishing returns where the side quests that I had left were very grindy and were much less fun. Is this what is this? It's from Final Fantasy XI. Is this Ceramode Champagne? I don't want to look because I want to get it right. No, this is... It's the woods outside of Sandoria. I don't remember what the woods are called. Oh god, when I look, I'm going to feel stupid. Gustaberg. Wait, Gustaberg is outside of Bastok, isn't it? It's been a long time since I played some Final Fantasy Oleviano. I gotta make this jump here. Okay, we didn't make it, but this part of the dungeon is friendly enough that if you don't make that jump, the game's like, that's fine, you can try again, because you land on the platform down there. What we're doing is you're seeing a shiny there embedded in those spikes. We have to land with 1 foot on that platform so we can rest there and wait for the next platform to come around. Hooah! But if you push too hard, you run your face into the spikes and it teleports you back. In fact, if you've played this game and you're familiar with some of the stuff you can do in the end game, you might already see one of the insane challenges that I completed. Because you can see that Noctis has 9,999 hit points. And to do that, you have to fight a monster with like 5 million hit points. It's a huge fight of endurance. I did it while I was processing, I think, Discworld videos, actually. I was doing videos on one computer and then pushing buttons on the other computer. Or on, yeah, on the other computer. Well, on the Xbox, technically. Xbox is basically a computer, isn't it? That's what we need to do. Land right here. Right on half this platform. Like, ugh. It doesn't look like you could stand here. I mean, once you're on here, it looks like, oh yeah, you can totally stay on this platform. But from the position where you're supposed to jump from, it doesn't look like you can get on that platform, which is why they put that shiny blue dealy bit there. To show you, yeah, this is a... Oh! I hit the platform with my sneakers. Now we gotta do it again. But yeah, they put the shiny bit there to show you that, no, this is a safe place to stand. Not a safe place to stand, but a place to stand. How about that? We'll go with that explanation. It's a place to stand. I did play a Taro in Final Fantasy XI, which is why I spent a lot of time in Saruta Baruta. In fact, my hometown was Windurst in Final Fantasy XI, and Windurst is the little... It's like a garden water village filled with Taru, who are the little childlike midget people. And the cat girls also live there in Taru land. So, Windurst was my homeland in Final Fantasy XI, and I got so accustomed to the Windurst music that when I played World of Warcraft years later, I set Darnassus as my home base. Which probably comes as a surprise to people who are like Warcraft players then and now. Like, why would you do it? Why would you set your home base in Darnassus? That doesn't make no sense. But what I did is I installed a Winamp mod that would, instead of playing the World of Warcraft music, would play any MP3s I set. So I set it to play Final Fantasy XI music. And I set Darnassus, the music in Darnassus, to Windurst. And it felt like home again. I played Warcraft considerably longer than I played Final Fantasy XI. I don't know if I've really talked about my MMO experience much on my Let's Play channel. Because by the time I started doing Let's Plays, I was pretty much done playing MMOs. So, even Warcraft, I mean, we played, the first expansion was the Burning Crusade, and I played a considerable amount of that content. I never did any raiding. I never was interested in doing, like, the endgame raid content. I liked... the leveling content. I liked going to new areas and running quests and exploring and that kind of stuff. I didn't like the grind. So my MMO experience, after 50 or 60 hours in an MMO, I'm kind of like cool with it. This is some Final Fantasy 13 right here. I forget what area. The Vile Peaks, maybe? March of the Dreadnoughts. There we go. That's the jump. Oh, deadly. We're not going to get that shiny down there because I don't want to wait for another cycle of the platform. But let's not fall here, shall we? Let's make these jumps so we don't have to replay this room. This is the point in the dungeon where the checkpoints get somewhat less forgiving. Because you have these long stretches you have to play in between checkpoints. And if you don't make it, you got to start over from the last checkpoint. So it feels kind of like I dare to say it, like an old school NES game, where you have to play a level a lot to kind of learn it, trial and error, get your way through it. Every attempt you get, like, one jump further, like you learn the next jump and then the jump after that. And hopefully by now you know that you can safely jump to 45-degree angles, otherwise you wouldn't know to go up here. Oh, right, this. We're fine. We're fine! Shoutouts to Nick Scott for sponsoring this video, and to everybody who helps make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.